guys doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. My past two episodes have been on this Murray Select 13.5 40 lawn tractor. As you know, the engine, fast recap, is a flathead engine, Briggs Stratton, right? Has a bad valve guide, and also it was out of valve clearance, right? And so it wouldn't start, of course. I did some crazy unorthodox stuff last night just due to my level of competence in terms of the flathead engines. I have never ever messed with a valve guide before. I have never ever grinded down the valves for the flathead clearances. My mistake was not using the feeler gauges and my understanding of the compression strokes. The compression stroke and the exhaust stroke. I didn't know that the exhaust stroke, the valves would stick up. You know, I thought they all had to be seated, you know, for the compression. But that's only for the compression stroke. The exhaust one, you need a little bit of space for the exhaust to come out. I didn't know any of that. Again, my level of competence in this arena is limited because remember, that's right, I'm not a mechanic, but I'm a garage guy, so I do what I can with the resources that I have to try to get this engine going. The past two episodes on this Murray has been very popular. Probably about 350 to 400 views in one day just from this, you know, which is cool. Also, a ton of comments. Now, yesterday, when I got this thing actually running, right, I got a lot of criticism. Like, probably half of the comments were criticisms. Which I'm used to because, you know what? I'm a YouTube superstar, so I have to acknowledge these comments and take it. Anyway, my buddy Nick from Lindenhurst, 5-speed Ash, he told me that I should not have ground down the valves. I really messed them up. But with a flathead engine, as you know, it's non-adjustable. So if you have to fix your valve clearance, you have to grind them. So if I didn't grind them, guess what? This thing wouldn't be running. As you also should have known, and I hope you guys aren't skipping, because if you make a comment and you skipped and missed parts about me explaining exactly why I'm doing it, then that's on you. Don't skip and comment, and if you're wrong, you look dumb. But I had already prefaced in the beginning of the video that I was waiting for the block, that I was going to do a trade with 5-speed Ash. But because I've never worked on this before, I'm going to jump in and try to get it to start just for shits and giggles, right? I was just going to mess with it to test, to kind of educate myself on what to do just by watching a few videos, right? So remember, all the criticism about me not doing it right and this and that and the other thing, right? This wasn't running the day before yesterday. It wasn't until I did do that stuff, the unorthodox stuff, that it is now running. So go figure, right? I mean, a layperson on the street would say, well, if you told Henry he did everything wrong, then how come it runs? It didn't run before he worked on it, right? So he's got to be doing something right. Maybe there's something to it. Anyway, Scott Keller told me that I should use a bench grinder. Yeah, I should have used my bench grinder. Where is that bench? Oh, that's right, I don't have one. I'm 51 years old, and I've never needed a bench grinder before. I'm not going to go out and buy a bench grinder just to do the one-time valve clearance on a flathead engine. You know what I mean? Oh, well, you should get one anyway. Why would I have to get one? Well, how about this? Why don't I go get a CNC machine and a mandrake bender and a 3D printer? How about that? I'll use it once in my life, but I'll spend like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for this machine. Yes, I know a bench grinder. You can sharpen your blades with it and clean heads. So can a hand grinder, you know? All this machinery is for, oh, that's right, mechanics, which I am not. So stop confusing me with a mechanic. I'm a flipper. Yes, I haven't been flipping much lately. Nobody's buying jack squat. The only person that's selling anything these days is Nick from Medford. That guy, I don't know. He's got the golden touch, man. He sells everything like in a day or two. You know what I mean? Anyway, so today, as you know, this engine has doubled its compression from 30 to 75. And it's doubled its compression because I did do the things you guys told me I shouldn't have done. This engine now runs. So I'm a little confused as to what I did exactly wrong. Yes, I did it unorthodoxly, but unorthodoxly, you guys know what I mean. I should have used feeler gauges, right, to measure the air gap in between the valve and the tappet, right? I didn't know that. Okay, I think the compression could be better if I fix that strip bolt that's on the inside. My friend Larry, from Larry and Bob, he has also an engine that has 2 broken bolts inside the engine block. He was getting ready to dump the engine, and I says, bro, you can fix that, man. Drill out the hole, right, and retap it and put some bigger bolts in there to get it in there. So mine's not exactly that bad. Mine doesn't have a bolt stuck in there. It's just stripped on the inside because it's soft aluminum, you know what I mean? So I've been watching a couple of videos on how to fix that problem, and let's just try it today. So this thing is sat overnight, and I haven't done anything to it except charge the battery overnight, right? So let's see what it sounds like now. I'm just gonna jump the solenoid. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. So it doesn't run as good as it did yesterday. told me that I should run it for about 15 minutes or so, because the longer you run it, the better the compression. I'm starting to believe that because look, as long as I kept it running, right, it was at top throttle. After it started to slosh the oil around, right, the compression started getting a little bit better, and then it maintained it running. So I think there's something true about that. I got to try to fix that head bolt somehow, and maybe improve the compression a little bit. But look, fellas, I mean, I know that I didn't do it the conventional way, but honestly, the proof is in the pudding, right? There's a lot of people who aren't experts like me, right? I'm not an expert, right? But I try to do what I can with what I have to get something going, which is what I did. I can understand, you know, there's a lot of frustration with experts because it's like, oh, who is this Yahoo who has absolutely no idea what he's doing? How does he get this stuff running? You know what I mean? Even some of you experts have admitted you're amazed that this thing is running, right? Holy shit, right? But look, I mean, think about it. If I went and got new valves, would that fix the problem? Also, there's a problem though. Remember, I made my homemade sleeve, right? My homemade sleeve is stuck in there. There ain't no way you're getting that out, okay? The thing that I used, you know, this thing, you know, this is the sleeve that I used, and it was a little narrow, so I drilled it out to fit the valve, okay? It's in there. It's not going to move. I mean, there's no way you're going to get that out, you know what I mean? What is that made of? Because there is thought about the amount of heat in there and what it could do. It might seize the valve to this, right? Will this hold up? I mean, I don't know what this is made out of. Is that die cast or I mean, it's pretty soft. It's not like, you know, it's really super strong like steel, because I've bent these and stripped these before, you know what I mean? And even if you bang them, you'll dent them pretty easily, you know? So it's somewhat soft, kind of like aluminum, which is what this block is made out of, right? It's just that whether or not it could withstand the heat long term, you know? But like I said, what could happen to it other than the fact that it might come out? Trust me, I wish it would come out. It won't come out. There's no way it'll come out. So it's in there. That's my homemade sleeve. And honestly, I had to do that. You know why? Because you saw the play from before, right? It moved laterally like that, not in and out, but it moved like this. A lot of play. But when I put my homemade sleeve in there, there's some play, but not, you know, not that bad anymore, you know. And I may have ground too much off of that exhaust valve too, but runs. All I wanted to do is run. It actually runs pretty good, you know. So short of getting the block, I'm still waiting for Jason to give me the gas tank for my edger, the Homelight edger that he gave me, because I'm going to trade that with 5-speed ash for an engine block. As soon as I get the engine block, I'll start taking this apart and putting it on. Unless, of course, I fix this head bolt problem and it runs perfect. If this runs perfect, there's no reason to change the block, right? So let's see what I can do about this. I've been watching a couple videos on how to fix that. So here are some ideas. Scott Keller gave me this idea just this morning. He said, why don't I take the head off and put JB Weld into the hole, right? Stick a bolt in there without the top, you know, just a stem basically. Stick it in there, right? Let it dry. And then put the head back on and put a nut on the outside. That's not bad. I also saw this other dude, and this is the most easiest and interesting way that he did it. He took like a wire, you know, like an electrical wire, you know, the thick kind, you know, good gauge. And he took like 8 of those copper wires, right? And he shoved them in the hole, right? And then he ratcheted them in there. He didn't impact it. He ratcheted slowly in there, and it held. There was a lot of ways to do things. They say you could also take the aluminum rods, melt them, fill the hole with aluminum rods, then drill and tap again. I don't know about that. But I'm going to remove that bolt, and I'm going to try that wire thing. So you know what else is going to help the compression a little bit is that I just checked the oil. While the oil is very good condition, right, it's halfway to the add line. So we could use another 3/4 to a whole quart of brand new motor oil. This is conventional SAE30. You use SAE30 for temperatures above 32 degrees, which is all lawnmower equipment, because you don't use a snowblower. So I'm just going to add this, probably the whole quart, or maybe not the whole quart, maybe 3/4 of a quart into this machine. Then there's the wiring I need to do with this. Like I said, I don't think the ignition switch works because every time I try to turn it on, it stays on. So there's some kind of short in it, which is pretty dangerous. I think I might just try to wire an ignition switch that I know might work. Rewire all the letters and stuff. I mean, I need to find a switch that has the letters on it, you know. S for solenoid or starter, L for lights, G for ground, B for battery. Anyway, I'll do that when I have some pretty good confidence that this thing, you know, will continuously run for a while, you know. For now, I'll just keep jumping it as I've been doing. It seems to work okay. So let me show you the situation that I have here with the head bolt, okay? Take a guess as to which one is stripped. That's right, the one that looks like it's rusted. I'm just going to tighten this, watch, see what happens. This freely spins. I'm going to take it out. Excuse me. The bolt is in good condition, you know. So there was another guy on YouTube who says, well, sometimes just partially it's stripped in there. It could have deeper threads. So if you just took a longer bolt, maybe it'll work. But because this is the engine block, I don't think it's drilled any deeper than what it's allowed, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to do that. I might try to take a wider screw, wider bolt, you know, thicker, and try to shove that in there. But I'm going to try those threads though first, and they have to be long because it goes all the way in, you know. And it might be difficult to do. It has to be longer, like the length of this. So I've got this old wire that I stripped the outside coating. It's a little bit longer than the bolt. I'm just going to shove a bunch of them into the hole. I will admit, I've never done this before. Very interesting. That's right. My video, while just simply trying to fix a head bolt, it's going to take more than half an hour for sure. Because why? That's right, I started talking. And when I start talking, that's it. It's over. My opening monologue was 8 minutes. Just talking about more bullshit. And now even more. You know what? This is not going to work. This is not going to, doesn't want to go all the way in. There you go. I don't know. Why don't I just wrap this around the bolt, right? Wouldn't that work too? Or does it have to be vertical like that, you know? I don't know. it's tough to get in there.
Henry, that's not gonna work.
Well, I'm just gonna try it, you know. Oh God, Jesus, not even going in, man. Alright, look, I'm not gonna put you guys through this torture. I was having a very difficult time shoving this stuff in. I got 3 of them in there, but I just basically wrapped this around there and I'm gonna give it a try. I can just try. I don't think this is gonna work. But if it does, it'd be pretty cool. The reason why they told me to use copper is because it's soft, you know? And it'll just mesh with threads. I don't know, I'm starting to feel some resistance. I mean, there is enough strands in there, you know? It's kind of getting difficult to do now. They said not to use a ratchet. They said not to use an impact, but to use a ratchet. So I'm gonna do what they tell me.
When do you ever do what people tell you, Henry?
That's true too. Now it's too easy. Maybe not. Well, I'm gonna give this another try. The engine, I mean. Because I just put almost a quarter Earl in there, so that should improve some of the compression. I'm surprised that it hasn't smoked. I was expecting this thing to smoke like crazy, you know what I mean? But, you know, this is not going to work, you know why? Because it's too easy for me to turn. I don't feel any resistance, hardly any. So I don't think this is going to work. It's not going to work because, look, I'm at the end and it's hardly giving any resistance at all. Yeah. This is not going to work. So I'm going to find a thicker bolt, maybe, and just drive it in there, you know? So I found like this screw, you know, not even a bolt. The next size up just wouldn't fit. So I found like a screw and I shoved it in there and put a washer in between because it had to take up the space. And it's definitely has a little bit more torque to it than before. I also torqued down the surrounding bolts. So we got some more oil in there, tightened up the bolts a little bit more. Let's just, let's see what we'll find out now. I'm going to try to start it again. 3, 2, 1. it all wrong. I guess I'm hoping I do it wrong all the time. Because it sounds great. I'm going to try to figure out the ignition switch for some other harness or some other key. Thanks a lot for joining me, man. Proof is in the pudding. With all the crazy stuff that I do, it runs, right? Well, let's see if it moves. The minute I tried to throttle it up, it stalled. You know why it's not going to move? It doesn't have any keys in the keyway. I'll try that another time. Start putting this thing back together again. Engine and stuff. We might need a new head gasket, maybe. But it is cold out, you know? I'm not going to shut this off. That's how you shut it off. So I'm going to work out a key switch for this. Boy, oh boy, fellas. I have been really busy since I left you last. I didn't show you any of this stuff because it's just fundamental stuff, and I'm trying to keep my videos under an hour. You know what I mean? So anyway, I went to my shed to look for some more parts for this thing, and I found a air filter cover, air filter base, right? And I put that on. As well as the front tin. I found a front tin from an old one. I put that on. Actually, I was looking around here and I saw the gasket for the muffler was sitting there. I forgot to put the gasket on the muffler. So I put the gasket back on the muffler, right? I just filled it up with a little bit more gas. I used up all the gas that I had because I plan on taking this for a ride. I hope I make it back. Anyway, watch this, fellas. Boom! I found the grill! I found the grill. I put the keys back into the rear wheels, right? And by the way, it was missing the two spacers, so the rear wheel was like sliding, you know, in and out, in and out. There was like a full inch or so of play, so I had to put I had to cut one of these things in half as spacers. So now it's all right. You guys like the grill? I don't really like the grill. Got the wheels on there, right? The access panel is on there too. I know you can't see it. Access panel is back on there. I fixed the ignition switch and put it back on. It worked just fine, actually. And the left front tire was flat, and I had to keep pumping it, so I put a tube in there. So I did a lot. Put a tube in there, put the grill on, put the tin on, added some gas, put the keys in the rear, put the panel back on, and guess what? We are gonna go for a ride. First drive, that's right. Here at Mowers and Blowers, we push tractors into the garage, but they come out driving.
Hopefully the seat safety switch actually works. I just got off of it and shut off. Oh well, I guess I'm gonna be pushing for a block.
Oh no!
I'm in the home stretch. One more left turn, and this thing has not skipped a beat for the whole block. Full throttle the whole time. Didn't hesitate at all. I'm back. There ain't nothing wrong with this engine. I guess I should continue to not know what I'm doing. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Hey guys, support my channel, buy a sticker. Also follow me on Instagram at Mowers Blowers. Check out my website, mowersblowers.com. See you guys on the next one. Have a great day. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.